Picture yourself just driving alone on a really dark, completely unfamiliar road.
Sounds incredibly stressful already, honestly.
Right. It's late, the weather has just turned incredibly hostile, and you are entirely aimless. Like no destination plugged into the GPS, no scheduled arrival time at all.
Just driving to drive.
Exactly. And suddenly, out of the darkness, this massive storm just forces your hand. You have to pull into the only shelter around, which is this weathered, sort of out-of-time roadside inn.
Okay, I'm with you.
So you walk in, you shake off the rain, you finally catch your breath, and you look up. And sitting right there at the bar, just nursing a drink, is the exact person you loved 15 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, the one that got away.
The one that got away.
Yeah.
And that scenario, I mean, it strips away every single layer of your daily routine in just a fraction of a second, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is the ultimate, totally uncontrollable collision of the past and the present.
And normally you'd file that exact scenario under, pure Hollywood fantasy, like a total trope.
Right, like a rom-com setup.
Exactly. But we actually have a remarkably detailed, profoundly intimate account of this exact serendipity happening to two real people.
Yeah, Claire and Elliot.
Claire and Elliot, at a place called the Inn at Pelican Cove.
Yeah.
Separated by a decade and a half, building entirely different lives, and suddenly the universe just traps them in the same room.
It's just wild.
So our mission today for this deep dive, we are not just dissecting a romance story here.
No, not at all.
We are going to use this incredible source material as a case study to really unpack the deep psychology of human nostalgia.
Yeah, we really want to understand how the passage of time fundamentally alters our perspective on past love.
Right, and dive into the neuroscience of memory too. Plus, explore how these liminal, kind of isolated environments can act as powerful catalysts for this level of emotional honesty that we almost, never allow ourselves in the day-to-day.
It's true, we guard ourselves so heavily, and to really grasp the gravity of this encounter, I think we have to start with the engine of the entire sequence.
The catalyst.
Exactly, the psychological state Clara is in before the storm even hits her.
Right, because she's already in a weird headspace.
Yeah, she is on a weekend drive with no particular destination, but the really vital context here is that she is a recent empty nester.
Ah, yeah, that's huge.
Her children have grown, they've moved out, and her house has just gone completely quiet.
And the phrasing used in the text to describe her state is so specific. It says the house is quiet. In a way, she was still learning to live inside.
That's a powerful description.
I mean, if you've ever had your kids leave for college, or honestly, even if you've just experienced that sudden, deafening silence after a massive, chaotic project at work finally ends, you know that exact vacuum.
Oh, totally. The crash after the chaos.
Yeah. It's not merely an absence of noise, it's a physical environment that she just literally hasn't figured out how to inhabit yet.
Right, and we talk about the empty nest phase as this, sociological milestone, like just a box to check on the timeline of adulthood.
A Hallmark card event.
Exactly. But neurologically and psychologically, it is an intense crisis of identity.
How so? Like, what's actually happening in the brain?
Well, for over 2 decades, a parent's daily rhythm, their cortisol spikes, their dopamine hits, their very sense of existential purpose, all of that is dictated by the immediate, urgent needs of their children.
Wow. So their brain chemistry is tied to the kids.
Yes. The noise of a house isn't just sound, it is the noise of purpose. It's this constant stream of data telling your brain, you are needed, you are functioning, you are actively keeping people alive.
Okay, so when that vanishes overnight.
The cognitive load drops so precipitously that the brain actually experiences a form of withdrawal.
Withdrawal. Like actual chemical withdrawal.
Essentially, yeah.
So the brain's reaction to that withdrawal is to seek physical motion. I mean, that's what she gets in her car and just drives.
Exactly. When the internal landscape becomes unrecognizable or just uncomfortably still, human beings frequently seek external motion to compensate.
Just to feel something happening.
Yeah, it's a very well-documented coping mechanism. The aimless driving isn't travel in the traditional sense. She is moving her body through physical space because she doesn't know how to move forward in her new psychological stage.
That makes so much sense.
The forward momentum of the car is a synthetic replacement for the forward momentum she lost when her kids moved out.
You know, it makes me think about what you do when your computer starts running sluggishly.
Yeah.
Or just acting erratic.
You reboot it.
Well, or you run a defragmentation program to reorganize the files in the background.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Clara's aimless driving operates exactly like that. She is essentially running a cognitive defragmentation program on her own life.
I love that.
She's just cruising down the coastline, watching the white lines on the highway, trying to reorganize all these newly quiet, empty spaces in her mind so the architecture of her daily life makes sense again.
Yeah, and that mechanism of sorting background files requires low-level repetitive tasks, like driving a familiar highway.
It's practically meditative.
It is. It occupies the conscious mind just enough to allow the subconscious to process the massive identity shift of the empty nest. But notice the critical vulnerability in her plan here.
What's that?
She fully intends to keep driving. She is trying to maintain total control of her emotional journey by physically controlling the vehicle.
Right, she's behind the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She wants to process this transition entirely on her own terms, in total isolation.
And then the environment intervenes.
Big time.
The storm at Pelican Cove completely overrides her control. The text says it starts quietly, just a darkening at the edge of the horizon, and then suddenly it's sweeping across the water in these massive, long gray curtains of rain.
Just a total deluge.
It literally forces her off the road and stops her forward motion. Which, it really makes me wonder about the architecture of our modern lives.
In what way?
Like, is it possible that true serendipity, the kind of life-altering collision that happens at this inn, only occurs when we are forcibly stopped from trying to steer the car?
Oh, that's a fascinating point. Because we have practically engineered serendipity out of our existence today.
We really have. We optimize everything.
We are completely obsessed with optimization. We have GPS guiding us to the exact minute of arrival. We have algorithms curating our social interactions, itineraries planning our leisure time.
Every minute is accounted for.
Exactly. We almost never allow for a true vacuum of chance. So the storm here represents the uncontrollable, chaotic variables of nature and life.
The things you can't schedule on your calendar.
Right. And often we require a severe external disruption like extreme weather, a grounded flight, a sudden flat tire, to physically, forcibly eject us from our routines.
Because we'd never do it voluntarily.
Exactly. We have to be pushed into a space where something profound can occur because we will rarely volunteer to go there ourselves.
And the space she gets pushed into is incredibly specific. The inn at Pelican Cove isn't some sterile corporate hotel right off the interstate.
No, not at all.
It's described as white clapboard, gone soft with salt and years, wrapped in a porch with amber lanterns burning on either side of the door.
It sounds so atmospheric.
It does. It sounds inviting, but more importantly, it sounds entirely unmoored from the present day. Like time doesn't exist there.
You're touching on the anthropological concept of a liminal space there.
Liminal space, I've heard that term.
Yeah, it comes from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. Liminal spaces are transitional environments between two established destinations.
Like an airport terminal.
Exactly. Airports, hotel lobbies, train stations, they belong to no one, and therefore they belong to everyone temporarily. They exist entirely outside of normal societal rules.
You can eat a burger at 8 a.m. in an airport and no one judges you.
Exactly. But an inn like Pelican Cove takes this a step further. Because it is, as the text says, soft with salt and years, it contrasts sharply with the violent, certain wind of the storm outside.
It's a refuge.
It acts as an insulated bubble where the normal rules of time, forward momentum, and even identity are just completely suspended.
It's the ultimate safe haven. And when Clara runs inside damp-shouldered and manages to secure the last room, the person at the front desk is perfectly cheerful.
Which is such a contrast to the panic outside.
Right. When you are warm inside a place like that, the storm instantly becomes someone else's problem. You are crossing a literal and psychological threshold.
Yes.
You go from battling the elements, totally isolated and defensive in your car, to surrendering to this shared, warm sanctuary.
And that surrender is vital preparation for the emotional shock that's about to come.
She had to decompress first.
Exactly. Clara goes upstairs, peels off her wet clothes, and physically sheds the journey and the defensive posture she needed for the storm. By the time she puts on dry clothes and prepares to descend into the dining room, she has transitioned completely out of survival mode.
Her heart rate goes down, her breathing slows.
Her nervous system is downregulating. And this is crucial. If she had walked into that lobby and seen Elliot immediately while still freezing and panicked, her reaction would have been entirely different. She needed to be softened by the liminality of the inn first.
So she walks downstairs, just looking for a quiet dinner. And there he is, Elliot.
Sitting right there.
Sitting at a small bar, nursing an amber drink. And he's looking out the window at the rain, but in that specific way people do when they aren't actually seeing the weather.
Right, staring through the glass, not at it.
Yes, he is physically present, but mentally he is miles and miles away.
A classic state of mild dissociation. He is likely engaged in his own internal defragmentation, just like Clara was in the car.
And then he turns his head. And here is the element of the encounter that I find absolutely staggering.
Okay, what is it?
15 years have passed. They haven't seen each other since they were 24. 15 years is a long time.
It really is a massive chunk of life.
People age. They change their hair, their posture changes, the lines on their faces deepen. Clara even explicitly thinks in the text that 15 years is supposed to be long enough that you don't recognize someone instantly from across a dim room.
But she is wrong.
She is totally wrong. The recognition is instantaneous. The text says it's certain and immediate, without any of the pleasant fuzziness or delay of surprise.
Just bim.
Boom! How is that neurologically possible? To just bypass 15 years of aging in a split second?
Well, this dives straight into the neuroscience of memory. Specifically, how our brains encode primary attachment figures during critical developmental windows.
Okay, tell me more.
See, facial recognition isn't just a generic visual process. It is handled by a specialized region in the brain called the fusiform face area.
Fusiform face area, got it.
And when we form deep, foundational emotional bonds with someone, especially in our early 20s, which is a period of intense final stage myelination in the prefrontal cortex, our brains literally wire themselves around that person.
Wait, hold on. Explain the myelination part. What does that actually mean for memory?
Sure. So myelin is the insulating sheath around nerve fibers that increases the speed and efficiency of electrical impulses in the brain.
Like the rubber coating on a copper wire.
Exactly. Perfect analogy. During your late teens and early 20s, your brain is laying down thick myelin tracks for the networks you use most, including your emotional and romantic attachments.
Okay, so you're building the superhighways of your brain.
Yes. And concurrently, your amygdala, the emotion center, is tagging these specific experiences and people as highly significant for survival and reproduction. So the person you love deeply during this window isn't just saved as a standard memory.
Like remembering where you parked your car.
Right, it's way deeper than that. They are etched into the structural hardware of your brain.
So when Clara looks at Elliot, her brain isn't processing his graying hair or the new wrinkles around his eyes.
Exactly. The visual cortex takes in the new data of his 40-year-old face, sure, but the fusiform face area instantly cross-references the underlying geometric ratios of his features with that deeply myelinated, highly emotional blueprint stored 15 years ago.
That is wild.
The brain's pattern recognition software is so sophisticated that it just bypasses the superficial noise of aging and detects the core essence. That's why there is no delay.
It's an instant match.
It's a direct, unmediated hit to the deepest levels of autobiographical memory. It triggers an immediate physiological response before the conscious mind can even form the thought, oh, that's Elliot.
You know, I often argue with that common platitude that people change completely over a decade or two. We love to say, oh, I'm a totally different person than I was in my 20s.
You say it all the time.
But meeting an ex from that specific developmental window is really like revisiting your childhood home.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, because sure, the exterior paint is a different color now. Maybe the living room furniture is totally rearranged by the new owners, and there's a new addition on the back deck. But the foundational architecture hasn't changed.
The bones are the same.
The spatial awareness is permanent. If you close your eyes in that house, you know exactly which floorboards in the hallway still creak. You know exactly how the light hits the kitchen counter at 7 a.m. Your body remembers the geometry of the space.
I love that comparison because spatial memory and emotional memory are deeply intertwined.
Are they really?
Oh, absolutely. The proprioception you have for your childhood home is identical to the emotional muscle memory you have for a foundational partner.
Emotional muscle memory.
Yeah. You know their micro-expressions, the cadence of their voice, the exact way they hold tension in their shoulders. The paint may have changed over 15 years, but the structural load-bearing walls are exactly the same.
And what makes this specific architectural blueprint between Clara and Elliot so powerful is the type of love they shared back then.
Right, the context of their 20s.
Clara realizes she loved Elliot in a very particular way. The text says she loved him in the wholehearted way you love someone at 24, before life teaches you to hold a little of yourself back just in case.
Wow.
I know, that line is an absolute gut punch. Before life teaches you to hold a little of yourself back just in case.
It's beautiful, but it's also a perfect articulation of the fundamental psychological divide between unarmored young love and the negotiated vulnerability of mature love.
Negotiated vulnerability. I like that term.
Well, think about it. At 24, depending on your life circumstances, you generally haven't experienced the kind of devastating, life-altering betrayals, the complex career failures, or the deep, enduring heartbreaks that force the human psyche to construct defensive walls.
It's a free fall.
Yeah.
You just jump out of the plane without checking the parachute because you literally don't know where the ground is or how hard it is going to hurt when you actually hit it.
Precisely. You give yourself over completely because you have no empirical data to suggest you shouldn't.
You haven't crashed yet.
Right. But as you age, the brain accumulates data on pain. So mature love, which they would both theoretically be experiencing in their 40s now, is heavily informed by loss and self-preservation.
You're more cautious.
Very much so.
Right.
Mature love can be incredibly deep, highly stable, and profoundly beautiful, but it is fundamentally a managed risk.
You're hedging your bets a little.
You love someone while simultaneously running background calculations on how you would survive if they left. You hold that little bit back just in case as an emotional insurance policy.
But Clara and Elliot are staring at the person who knew them before the insurance policy existed.
Yes.
They hold the skeleton keys to each other's unarmored selves.
Which is incredibly disorienting. I mean, imagine spending 15 years carefully building this emotional fortress, only to walk into a random inn on a rainy Tuesday and bump into the one person who knows the exact location of the secret trapdoor you left open in the basement.
That is terrifying and amazing.
Yeah.
And the reason that trapdoor is still fully functional is because of how their relationship actually ended.
Right, the nature of the breakup.
They didn't have a fiery, plate-throwing, screaming in the rain kind of breakup.
Yeah.
The source mentions they lived together in this tiny apartment above a fragile, beautiful little flower shop.
A setting that perfectly mirrors the ephemeral nature of their 20s, by the way.
Totally. They made these grand plans. But eventually, his work pulled him one way, and her evolving sense of who she needed to become pulled her another.
Just life happening.
Yeah. The parting was described as sad rather than angry. The saddest kind.
You know, in the realm of relationship psychology, that specific typology, the amicable, circumstantially sad divergence of paths, is actually the most difficult to gain closure from.
Really? That's surprising.
It is. It leaves far deeper, more lingering what-ifs than an explosive, toxic breakup ever does.
I think most people assume the exact opposite. Like, we assume the terrible, dramatic breakups involving infidelity or massive, screaming fights leave the deepest, most permanent scars.
Well, they absolutely leave severe trauma and scars, don't get me wrong. But anger is a highly functional emotion.
Functional. How so?
Anger provides extreme cognitive clarity and narrative closure. If a partner betrays you, your brain is handed a very clean, unambiguous narrative.
The person is awful.
Exactly. This person is a threat. They are bad for me. I am better off without them. The cognitive dissonance is completely resolved, the bridge is burned, and the smoke hides the past so you don't even want to look back. Anger acts as a psychological shield that allows you to move on.
I see. But a sad, circumstantial breakup. There is no villain.
Exactly. There is no villain. The love was intact. The respect was intact. The logistics simply failed.
Right. Timing, geography, career stuff.
So you are forced to hold two deeply conflicting truths in your mind simultaneously. I love this person deeply, and I must leave this person to survive and grow.
That sounds exhausting.
The cognitive dissonance is immense. Because the love was never destroyed by malice or betrayal, the memory of it remains pristine. It's preserved in amber.
So when Clara sees him 15 years later, he isn't an antagonist she finally escaped. He is an entirely viable parallel universe she simply didn't choose.
Beautifully put, and you can see the weight of that parallel universe in their physical interaction.
Yes, the hug.
When she walks over to him, he stands up and they hold each other briefly. But they don't crush each other in a desperate cinematic embrace.
It's not like The Notebook.
Right. They hold each other in the slightly careful way of people who were once not careful with each other at all.
It's an absolute masterclass in body language, reflecting emotional history.
It really is. It is the physical manifestation of the transition from unarmored love to guarded reality. Their nervous systems recognize each other completely. Their bodies inherently remember the fit, the exact pressure of the hug. But their 40-year-old prefrontal cortices are violently applying the brakes. The brain is shouting, do not revert to the 24-year-old baseline. We have boundaries now. We have different lives.
Abort.
Abort. Exactly. It is a highly delicate, real-time negotiation between muscle memory and present-day reality.
And the sheer absurdity of the situation diffuses that tension really well. They both admit they were just passing through.
Neither of them planned to be there.
Right. He was driving up the coast, hadn't planned to stop at all. Clara mentions she got the absolute last room. Elliot smiles and says he got the second to last room. And they just laugh.
That laugh is so important.
It's this quiet, almost disbelieving laugh. I mean, the entire expanse of the globe was available to them, and the chaotic variables of the storm funneled them into the exact same building.
And that shared laughter is a vital physiological release. It lowers the cortisol that spiked during the initial shock of recognition.
It kind of resets the room.
It signals to both of them that the environment is safe, that neither is a threat. It naturally thaws the moment, allowing them to bridge the gap between the ghosts of their past and the reality of their present.
Which naturally leads them right into the dining room. They don't make some formal, awkward plan to eat together. The transition happens organically.
They just drift there.
Yeah, they sit at a table. The kitchen brings out simple, grounding food fish and warm bread and butter. And the environment in this dining room is crucial to point out.
The setting always matters.
The room is totally empty, save for one detail. An elderly couple sitting near the window who actually fall asleep in their chairs before dessert even arrives.
The presence of that sleeping elderly couple serves as a profound visual and thematic anchor for the scene.
What do you mean?
Well, from a sociological standpoint, they represent the ultimate peaceful culmination of a long life lived together. They are the epitome of settled, unquestioning companionship.
They're completely at ease.
The fact that they can fall asleep in a public dining room during a massive coastal storm signifies ultimate psychological safety.
They are the quiet contrast to the intense, unresolved energy between Clara and Elliot.
Precisely. They highlight the fact that Clara and Elliot's shared journey was interrupted. The elderly couple reached the final destination. Clara and Elliot got off at different stops and are now having a layover in this strange liminal bubble.
Just waiting for the storm to pass.
But the couple's peacefulness bleeds into the atmosphere, ensuring Clara and Elliot feel safe enough to begin the catch-up.
And catching up after 15 years is incredibly dangerous terrain. You don't just dump your entire life story on the table.
Oh, definitely not.
The way they do it is described in the text as filling in the years carefully, offering pieces of their separate lives the way you offer food to someone you aren't sure yet is hungry.
That is a brilliant demonstration of behavioral economics, specifically signaling theory and vulnerability pacing.
Vulnerability pacing.
Yes. When you haven't seen an intimate partner in 15 years, you have zero baseline for their current life. You are walking into an emotional minefield blindfolded.
You really are.
You don't know if they are happily married, bitterly divorced, wildly successful, struggling financially, dealing with a loss. You don't know what might trigger jealousy or judgment.
So you have to test the waters micro-step by micro-step.
Exactly. You offer a very small, low-risk piece of information, a city you lived in, a career shift. Then you intensely monitor their reaction.
Looking for clues.
If they lean in, if they ask a follow-up question, if they eat the information and show hunger for more, you are cleared to offer a slightly more vulnerable piece of data.
And if they don't?
If they pull back or give a terse reply, you know you've hit a boundary. It is an incredibly complex, high-stakes game of emotional intelligence playing out over dinner.
The pieces of data they successfully exchange reveal so much about who they became, though.
What do they share?
Elliot shares that he lived in 3 different cities before finally building a solid career in architecture. Claire reveals she raised 2 daughters, traveled, and runs a small textile business from her home.
Okay.
Look at the symbolism of those careers compared to where they started.
Oh, it is deeply poetic.
Right. They started out in an apartment above a flower shop. A flower shop deals in pure ephemerality.
It's true. Flowers don't last.
Blooms are beautiful, but they are fragile, temporary, and they inevitably die. That was the perfect metaphor for their 24-year-old romance. Beautiful, but not built to withstand the seasons.
And look at what they became in their individual adult lives. Elliot is an architect. He literally designs permanent structure.
He builds things to last.
He calculates load-bearing walls, foundations, and materials meant to withstand storms. He creates permanence out of raw earth.
And Clara works in textiles. She takes disparate individual threads, which are super fragile on their own, and weaves them together to create fabric. She creates utility, warmth, and interconnectedness.
They both evolve from residing in the ephemeral to becoming creators of the foundational. They both became builders.
They really did.
But the crucial realization here is that they likely had to leave each other to learn how to build. The flower shop was a necessary incubator, but it wasn't a foundation.
Which perfectly sets up what I think is the heaviest, most universally terrifying moment of the dinner.
The big question.
The big question. Somewhere deep into the second hour, after the careers and the geography have been mapped out, Elliot looks at Clara and asks a remarkably simple question. Are you happy?
Wow.
3 words. But the weight behind them is astronomical. The text notes that this question is simple and genuine, the kind only someone who'd known you at 24 had the particular right to ask.
That raises a fascinating point about the hierarchy of our social relationships, doesn't it?
Right.
And who has authorization to demand our deeper truths?
Let me challenge that idea of authorization for a second, though.
What?
Does an old flame really have an exclusive right to ask if you're happy? Like if my best friend from last year asks me, do they not have the right?
Sure they do.
Or is it less about a right and more about the fact that when you sit across from someone who knew your original uncorrupted dreams at 24, you physically cannot lie to them? They have the original schematics. If you give them the polite dinner party answer, they will see right through the drywall.
I think you've hit the exact mechanism there. It isn't a legalistic right. It is an inability to perform.
Right. You can't fake it.
In our daily lives, "Are you happy?" is often just a conversational placeholder.
Yeah.
We give highly edited, socially acceptable answers. "I'm great, things are good."
Can't complain.
Exactly. We curate our happiness for our colleagues, our neighbors, even our current spouses sometimes, because our current lives are entangled with theirs. But a foundational partner from your 20s holds the baseline data.
They know what you looked like before you compromised on things.
Exactly. If Clara had aggressively dreamed of being a famous painter at 24 and now she is running a textile business from home, Elliot possesses the specific historical context to understand what that shift means.
He knows the delta between the dream and the reality.
He can ask, "Are you happy?" and evaluate her answer against the raw, ambitious dreams she whispered in the dark above the flower shop. They are utterly incapable of performing for each other because the audience already knows all the backstage secrets. There is no point in putting on the mask.
So, stripped of the ability to lie, how does she actually answer? She doesn't say she's living her absolute best life. She says, "I think so. Most days. You."
Such a real answer.
And Elliot replies, "Getting there. More recently than before, actually."
These answers are absolute masterpieces of middle-aged emotional realism.
It is so refreshing. Nobody claims every day is a miracle. Clara's most days is the perfect definition of a hard-won, quiet contentment.
It really is.
It is an acknowledgement that a genuinely good, happy life still contains bad days. It contains grief, it contains exhaustion, and it contains quiet houses that you have to learn to live inside.
She's managing expectations.
Right. She isn't denying the complex reality of her life. She's simply stating that the baseline rests above the waterline.
And Elliot's answer is even more revealing. Getting there. More recently than before. If we unpack the implications of those two sentences, there is a massive amount of struggle hidden in the subtext.
What do you think he went through during those 15 years to make him say more recently than before?
Well, he mentioned moving twice and living in 3 different cities before his architecture career stabilized. More recently than before heavily suggests that his late 20s and entire 30s were a period of deep instability.
Rough decade.
Perhaps profound loneliness, professional frustration, or failed relationships. The irony is that he was an architect building stable structures for others, but struggling immensely to build a stable foundation for his own internal life.
Man, that's heavy.
He is finally arriving at a place of peace, but it took him a very long, chaotic time to navigate the map.
And the most beautiful, mature part of this entire exchange is what happens next.
Which is?
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
Claire doesn't pry. She doesn't lean across the table and say, "Oh my God, what happened before? Why were you unhappy? Tell me everything." She didn't ask him to explain it, and he didn't offer to. The space between them wasn't empty. It was warm.
This demonstrates a staggering level of emotional maturity, because at 24, you demand total access to your partner's inner world.
You want to know every detail.
If they hint at pain, you want to dissect it, fix it, and consume it. You want to merge completely. But at 40, you understand the immense value of letting some things remain unsaid.
Just letting it be.
You recognize that simply acknowledging a person's difficult journey is often a far greater kindness than forcing them to recount every agonizing step of it over dinner.
They allow the silence to do the heavy lifting. And that warmth, that established honesty propels them outward. The dinner ends, but they don't retreat to their rooms.
The night isn't over.
The liminal magic is still working. They move out onto the wraparound porch. And this environmental transition is where the real, profound emotional archaeology of the night takes place.
The porch is the ultimate threshold. Think about it. They are moving from the enclosed, totally safe interior of the inn to the boundary line between the human world and the wild, chaotic elements.
They pull wicker chairs close to the wall to stay dry under the overhang, while the rain falls just past the railing.
And the storm itself is fundamentally changing at this point.
Right, it's calming down. It goes from a violent downpour to a steady silver curtain, and eventually to just a fine mist.
The environmental shift is a direct mirror of their internal states. The violent, heart-stopping shock of the initial meeting is over. The careful, high-stakes negotiation of the dinner catch-up is complete.
The dust has settled.
The turbulence has passed. Now they are left with a quiet, steady rhythm. The storm outside and the storm inside have both lost their violent kinetic energy, leaving behind a profound, crystalline clarity.
The sensory details here are so grounding, too. The sea is invisible in the dark, but they can hear the long, slow draw and release of the waves. It's totally unhurried.
It dictates the pacing for the remainder of the night. Unhurried truth.
Clara is the one who drops the first massive emotional anchor into the water here. She looks out at the dark and says, "I thought about you sometimes."
Just putting it out there.
She doesn't say it to provoke a reaction. She says it simply as a release of a true thing into the air, because the night felt safe enough to hold it.
That concept, an environment feeling safe enough to hold a truth, is crucial for emotional regulation. The combination of the isolation, the dark, the rhythmic sound of the ocean, and their shared, unarmored history has created a temporary confessional booth.
She just needed to say it out loud.
She doesn't need validation from him. She just needs the thought to exist in the physical world, outside the confines of her own mind.
But Elliot responds. And his response is incredibly moving. He says, "I thought about you too. Mostly when something good happened, the kind of things you want to tell one particular person."
Let's deeply analyze what that reveals about the nature of enduring human connection.
Yeah.
The desire to share good news with a former partner is a profound indicator of a pure, unselfish bond that has entirely survived the termination of the romantic contract.
Because that's really not how we normally operate.
Usually it isn't.
Usually when an ex pops into our head, it's either because we are incredibly sad and lonely and want comfort, or because we just achieved something great and we want to shove it in their face to prove we won the breakup.
Exactly. Reaching out in grief is a selfish act. It is about seeking a soothing mechanism for your own pain.
Right.
Reaching out in anger or boastfulness is about seeking validation or revenge to soothe your ego. But wanting to tell an ex when you see a beautiful piece of architecture or when you experience a quiet moment of joy,
That's different.
that is evidence that you still view them as a primary honored witness to your life. You want to share your light with them, not demand they fix your darkness. It means he still holds her in a place of deep, unconditional regard.
And that profound regard leads Ellie to finally ask the ultimate radioactive question. The one they have undoubtedly both tortured themselves with for a decade and a half.
Here it comes.
He asks, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd stayed?"
This is the absolute danger zone. This is where the human mind usually falls into a devastating trap.
It is so easy to slip into pure fantasy here. I mean, the storm is outside, you're sitting on a romantic porch with the one who got away, the lantern light is perfect.
The setting is practically begging for it.
It would be incredibly easy to say, "We made a terrible mistake, we would have been perfectly happy, let's leave our lives and run away together right now."
But they don't do that. And that restraint is what elevates this from a trope into a profound commentary on adult acceptance. They refuse to indulge in the fantasy.
Clara replies, "Sometimes, though I think we both needed to go at the time. I don't think we would have become who we are if we hadn't." And Elliot actually agrees with her.
Let's bring in the psychological concept of the Phantom X here.
The Phantom X, I've heard of this.
It is a well-documented phenomenon where individuals use the idealized memory of an ex-partner as a cognitive escape hatch from their current reality.
How does that work in practice exactly?
Well, if a person's current marriage hits a rough patch, or their career stalls, or they just feel the crushing weight of daily mundane responsibilities, they will conjure up the memory of their first love.
Like a mental vacation.
Yes. They create an avatar of this person in their mind and think, if only I had stayed with them, my life would be perfect. The Phantom X is a mechanism for avoiding present-day dissatisfaction.
But it's not real.
It is a deeply unfair, rigged comparison because the Phantom X never ages. The Phantom X never argues about the mortgage, never leaves dirty dishes in the sink, and never gets tired. It is a flawless ghost competing against a flawed reality.
But Clara and Elliot do the exact opposite of invoking the Phantom X. They don't use the memory of each other to tear down their current lives or escape their reality.
No, they don't.
They use the memory of each other to validate the lives they've actually built.
That is a phenomenal inversion of the standard psychological trap. By agreeing that they needed to leave in order to become the architect and the textile business owner, to become the complex, mature 40-year-old sitting on the porch, they are essentially blessing each other's current existence.
Wow. Blessing each other's existence.
They acknowledge the necessary sacrifice of the 24-year-old relationship for the sake of their individual evolution.
When Clara says still, just letting the word hang there, and Elliot echoes still, it isn't a word of regret. It is an acknowledgement of the particular tenderness you feel for the people who knew you before you fully knew yourself.
They use the past as a mirror to appreciate their present, rather than a hammer to shatter it.
And the environment, once again, perfectly encapsulates that emotional resolution. The mist is settling on the railing, catching the light in small, bright drops. And the auditory detail here is incredibly significant.
What's the sound?
Down below the cliff, a buoy bell is ringing. Slow and low, patient as a heartbeat.
Oh, I love that imagery.
I cannot stop thinking about that buoy bell. It is the perfect metaphor for how we should interact with our past loves.
How so?
A buoy bell isn't a siren. It isn't an alarm demanding immediate panic or action. It is a navigational aid. It exists simply to let ships know where the deep water ends and the rocks begin. It provides a steady, reliable point of reference in the dark.
Yes. You don't steer your ship toward the buoy bell to crash into it and sink. You simply use its rhythmic sound to orient yourself, to understand your current coordinates as you continue your journey forward.
Past loves don't just disappear. They become the buoy bell in the background of our lives.
You really do.
When the weather is clear and the kids are screaming and the job is stressful, you don't hear it over the noise of the day. But when the storm clears and it gets really quiet, like in Clara's empty house, that rhythm is still there.
Just ringing in the distance.
It's a reminder of where you started, which helps you understand how far you've traveled. Tonight, Clara and Elliot are simply orienting themselves by each other's sound.
Which brings us to the peaceful conclusion of the night. The rain stops completely. The clouds pull back, and a handful of stars appear over the dark water.
It clears up.
The inn is entirely silent, and the most telling detail is that neither of them has suggested going inside.
They know exactly what they are doing. They are deliberately extending the liminal space for as long as physics will allow.
Right, stretching the moment.
They know that the second they walk through that heavy wooden door and go up to their separate rooms, the magic of the suspension ends. Time will resume. Morning will break, they will pack their bags, get back into their cars, and drive back to their separate realities.
But they don't need to force the morning. Clara says, "I'm glad the storm came." Elliot says, "So am I, very glad."
They found their peace.
They simply sit there, under the stars, while the lanterns burn warmly, lighting the porch, the way they'd lit it through every storm this old inn had ever weathered. The storm did its job.
It halted their forward momentum.
Just long enough for them to look backward, categorize their past correctly, and prepare to move forward with a lighter psychological load.
So, as we pack up our own bags and leave Pelican Cove, let's distill the core insights from this deep dive. Because the takeaway here is absolutely not go track down your ex from 15 years ago and upend your current life.
No, please do not do that. The takeaway is about the profound psychological utility of being seen. It is about the deeply human need to be acknowledged by someone who holds the original foundational blueprint of your identity.
It's about validation.
The storm didn't engineer the serendipity to force Clara and Elliot to restart their romance. It brought them together to give them a peaceful, mutual closure they didn't even realize they were lacking. It allowed them to formally close the loop on their 20s.
It really shifts the paradigm of how we view our past. Sometimes the people we love deeply and lost aren't mistakes we need to endlessly correct, and they aren't tragedies we need to mourn forever. Sometimes they are just the necessary architects of our foundation. They are the early, essential threads in the tapestry of who we became.
We learned from them that mature happiness is not the total absence of what-ifs. Mature happiness is the ability to look a what-if directly in the eye, acknowledge its profound beauty, and still choose to walk back into the reality you have currently built.
Which brings me back to the scenario we started with. That feeling of driving aimlessly through the dark, carrying all the quiet, complicated weight of the life you're currently living.
Yeah, back in the car.
We spend a massive amount of cognitive energy in our own heads, wondering if we made the right choices in our past relationships. We torture ourselves, constructing alternative timelines where we made a different decision.
We constantly second guess.
We assume that if we could just get the definitive answer to what would have happened, we would finally achieve peace.
But peace rarely comes from answering the unanswerable.
Exactly. So consider this, and this is the thought I want you to mull over as you go about your week or the next time you find yourself staring out a window at the rain.
What's the thought?
Does true closure actually come from finally answering the what-ifs and trying to drag them into reality? Or does it come from simply allowing yourself to sit on a porch with the ghost of your past, acknowledging that those what-ifs exist, feeling that slow, patient heartbeat of memory, and being perfectly content to leave them right there in the mist?
Leaving them in the mist is the ultimate act of grace we can offer ourselves and the people we used to be.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you for joining us on this incredible psychological journey through the storm. Until next time, keep looking for the lanterns in the dark.